idea what I'm
The,
going to do. I have no idea. I might bring up something stupid. I don't know. Go.
that's okay. Here's the best
What
part.
do you-
Let's do this we'll do this for the fans right now.
Okay.
This is True OF Entertainment.
Well, here we go. It's the man that promises you nothing and delivers. It's the veritable man motor mouth. It's Road Woods who feels the need to call himself Rob Vega. It somehow makes him feel important. Anyway, do have a listen and try not to throw up.
Oh, and here we is. We're back. We're live. Who knew?
These headphones do some weird shit to my head, so that's weird.
Really?
Okay, fine. Let's
That's
do that
crazy.
there. And that is
Yeah, we don't like
crazy.
that.
You know what
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
do, Stephen? I'm going to get rid of this thing in the background. You know, come on, let's get rid of it like that. You see, we're going to do this. What if I just do
Okay.
that? Oh, that's kind of
Whatever
freaky.
you want to do.
Ooh.
You're the star.
I'm the star. God help us if I'm the star.
Well, you know, listen.
That's
Move,
the boy.
hey, we compliment you.
That looks
There you
good. Okay, let's
Look
do
at
that.
you. How you been? What's going on?
Oh God, what's going on? Jeez, like I would ask you the same thing. My God, I
Well,
don't know. It's I don't know what does one say. I mean, I watch a lot of news and podcasts and YouTube things, and
Hallmark television.
it's nuts now. But I watch a lot of there's some good drama series that I like to watch. There's I am going to give them a plug, but they don't need it because they're a big. There's a new show with Noah Wally called The Pit. Very good.
Oh, I've
Enjoyed it.
seen it. I've seen
Yeah.
it. I think it sucks.
Oh, I love it.
I can. It's just like his first show, ER, with George Clooney, and then
You think it
It's
sucks?
like
Do you?
I wasn't a fan of ER. I watched
Okay.
the first episode of The Pit, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay. I mean, it's very boop-a-doop. It's very cool. I don't know. I've been there, done that. I'm good. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's just me. I
kinda
know other
like
people
It's
love it.
okay. It's not. Well, I like it. I mean, I don't love it, but I like it. It's
As long as you like it. It's not. Listen, it's not
entertaining.
Death of the
It's
Unicorn
not.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. And what was my point about that? Okay, so I watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like to, I do. Like all of us, we like to watch shows.
Yeah.
And it's becoming quite difficult to know the difference between fiction and the shit you're watching on the news.
Right,
It honestly looks like a reality show. It is a reality show, pretty
It is.
much. Yeah, I'm just wondering who's going to get fired. That's what I want to know, Stephen. Who's getting fired?
I'm not sure.
I'll tell you
I'm
who's not
not
getting
sure.
fired. I'll tell you who's not getting fired, which is interesting.
Who?
All the people that had that leak.
Oh, the signal
leak.
gate. Yes,
Hmm.
signal gate. Yeah.
They're still there, which is okay. But all those you mentioned it last week. All the people that have been fired, some of them vital,
Yeah.
necessary people.
Yes.
They've been fired. So that's who's been fired. They've been fired, which is interesting because apparently it's going to save money.
And we bring them back though quietly.
Mhm.
They have to bring them back. What ends up
Right.
happening is
Okay.
like the Veterans
But-
Affairs, they fired whatever, and they had
Yeah.
to literally bring 70% of them back, but they do it
Okay.
quietly. It's
Mm.
kind of like what I said before. I like the concept of
Yeah.
making government efficient. I like the concept of what they're trying to do. If
The concept.
the concept, I like it.
Mm.
Now, if you did it with a brain and IQ points instead of being a Russian asset, I would be like, hey, this works. It'd be like, okay, let's go into, you put your cabinet member into, let's say the USADI, whatever thing, and you go through the line item and you're
Right.
like, okay, this is transvestite mites. This is translucent mites we need for cancer. We keep them.
Right.
Putting on a show in wherever for 40, maybe we don't need it. And you go through it and you're like, okay, we cut, I'm going to make up a number, $1 billion. Okay. Now, how many people do we need? Boom. Now we've cleaned up one department, and you can make
Okay.
it run more efficient because once you're there for 6 months or a year, you're like, oh, get rid of this. And if you did that across the board in 12 months time, you'd be able to
Okay.
say, realistically, we cut, I'm making up a number, $1 trillion.
Okay, well, clearly that's not happening, so we
No,
don't have
it's
to worry
not.
about that. So you've
Right.
answered. You mentioned the Russian asset thing, which is interesting because one of the things I wrote down, I thought half jokingly, I don't want to necessarily take a side because when you take a side, you might miss something. Because left and right have got some funny shit going on, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
Good. So my first question there was, is Trump, seriously, do you believe, Stephen, that he is possibly a Russian asset? Go.
Yes. And there's a senator, and I watched a video of him actually doing the interview for one of Trump's cabinet people, and he literally read a list of everything Trump has done, and he said, if he's not a Russian asset, still looks like one.
I will say what's interesting. I was watching. I'm not going to mention the name. I was watching an economist, a very smart man, and they said, "What do you think of what's going on right now?" And this is probably true of most economists with a brain, because yes, they've all got different opinions, as we've said. 10 different opinions, 10 different economists. And it's a little disingenuous, I think. But someone who's really smart. There are basics. That have to be done. I just want to throw in quickly before we move on. A tariff is a tax. Just want to mention that, because apparently no taxes. No, that is a tax. Okay, that tariff is a tax.
So because you don't want to tax the rich.
Would you argue that a tariff is a tax?
Oh, it's a tax on you. It's a tax on people who just don't want to tax the rich. That's why. Yeah.
Okay. But people are saying, "Oh, it's not a tax," and I go, "Yeah, it literally is a tax.
It's a tax.
It really is." Who do you think gets the money? Right there you go.
Well, the U.S. government gets the money, but what the people don't understand is when Trump's like, now he's done this 100% or 104% on China. And they're like, yeah, the Chinese are going to pay. The Chinese don't give a shit. They're laughing all the way to the bank, because every other country now is looking at America like a third world shithole. And they're going to China, and they're going to, they'll be going to Russia soon, once Russia rolls across the Ukraine and goes into Poland. And then America is going to do what it did 100 years ago with its isolation policy and its tariff policy. We're screwed. It didn't work 100 years ago. It's not working now.
You're about the 1930s. Was it the 1930s?
Yeah, no, that's what caused the Depression. Part of the Depression was caused because of the tariffs.
Right. Okay. Well, I tell you, interesting you mentioned China, because I don't know if you can confirm or deny this for me. It's fine. What's interesting is he's putting all these massive tariffs on China. That I think that would probably have more of an effect if the US made up the bulk of China's exports. But apparently, the US is less than 10%. China sends, I don't know if that's true. Can you confirm it's true? Less than, let's say it's 10% of what China makes and exports goes to the US. Is that true?
Probably. I can check it out.
Okay. But it's certainly not 20%. It's less. Right. Okay. So what folks are saying is China they're shrugging their shoulders at that tariff and going, all right, well, we'll just send the stuff elsewhere. And it's fine. You have fun. You tariff away. It's great.
Okay, let me give you the numbers.
It's not. Why would you think that it's I'm just trying to think what the game plan is. If you're not trying to enhance China's position, because I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to get stronger from this. Or am I wrong? What do you think, Stephen?
For really quick, 16.2% is what China, as of this is the latest trade information out of 2022, is what they send over to us. And we do about 8%. And we send 8% to them. So here's what's going to happen.
Okay.
China.
They're not going to lose sleep over it.
China already. Xi's already laughing. He's privately, from the people I've talked to, he's laughing. He thinks we're the dumbest thing in the world. They're laughing all the way to the bank, because they don't care. Because, you look at it this way. And I heard this guy, an economist on Bloomberg, was saying, he went to a Chinese factory. The guy pulls out a shoe. In America, the shoe costs $350. And he says, and we sell it to the American brand for $7.
Yeah.
And he said, and you're giving us a tariff. So realistically, if American companies don't want the tariffs to affect us, so that $7 shoe now, let's say, costs that company $14. Okay, you can still leave it at $350 because you're still making a huge profit, but they won't. They'll raise it, whatever. So China's laughing all the way to the bank. Other countries now are looking at the United States as what it was in just a shithole run by idiots or morons, as an economist said. And that's going to be a problem down the road, because no one's going to trust us. It's going to devalue the dollar. And once America isn't a superpower,
Yeah.
There's no reason to live here. You might as well then move, which everyone I know is looking at Thailand,
Real
Dubai,
shame.
Monaco. You have to leave because when
I
you travel the globe as an American before the Orange Man came in, people are like, "Oh, America, we could do stuff here. We could do a deal with." America's
mm,
just going to be
mm.
some third world shithole, and it's going to be. And I don't mean anything against South Africa, but I've met people this week from South Africa. Nobody cares.
No,
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 and they're from South Africa because they don't look at South Africa as a superpower. The
no.
superpower is China.
Yeah.
Russia, when it invades the Ukraine and then rolls into Poland, and Poland keeps sending up warnings and no one's listening to them. And NATO, in Bloomberg interview today, said the same thing, that when Russia rolls in, America's withdrawing troops. America is going back to the 1920s and 1930s for isolationism. It didn't work then. There'll be a catastrophe.
Okay.
Maybe that's what Trump's hoping for, so he can declare martial law and be the dictator. But
Okay.
I think that's a problem.
Yeah. I have to say, the thing that I find as an outsider, stroke insider, stroke feet in both areas, and I've lived there and I've lived here and lived in the UK, obviously, is you watch all this and you go, it's good theatre, some great comedic material. There's too much actually. I'm on my show. I've stopped talking about tariffs and Trump and all that because that's what you're going to talk about all the time, and I'm sure he gets extra bonus for that. I'm sure, as does Elon. So I don't want that. The Elon dongs, Elon and Dong, the Elon dongs as we call them.
Elon Dong.
So I don't want to do that. I want to give them more time. But if you just look past all the blunder and the bluster and so on, you go, well, what exactly is he so pissed about? And I went and did some homework, and he talks about this comes up a lot. He talks about how America gets ripped off, and I look at some of the comment sections on some of these news channels, and there are people there who, they're quoting the biggest lot of junk, but they're literally eating what they're picking up what he's putting down. They're eating everything that he's making, and they're just regurgitating these facts. And I'm going, but I'm not saying you're dumb, but just read more, just find out more. It's not really difficult to find out. But what I find extraordinary is, okay, let's say you suddenly wake up one morning and you've got a pain in the left side of your body.
Sure.
What you do. So you're hurting. That shouldn't be there, or someone tells you there's a pain.
Right.
So either you have the pain, or someone tells you there's a pain.
Yeah.
So what you do is, so someone tells you you're in pain. You go, I must be in pain. I'm in pain.
Right.
So just to make sure that everything is cool, you go to a doctor. He does a scan. He checks you out, and he says, "Stephen, you're fine." And you go, "Okay, everything's fine." The guy who told me I was in pain is talking shit. And then why did he want me to be in pain? Does he want something from me? What's his game? All right. So now what I'm saying is, there's this constant thing that I hear. Oh, America got ripped off. Oh, America's in bad shape. Oh, people are suffering, dying. It's so bad. Now, as someone, and like you as well, I've lived around the world. I don't want to dismiss anybody's pain. I mean, people, if you've lost your job or things are unaffordable, hey, it's tough. But I want to tell you something, and this is true. America doesn't know shit about poverty. I promise you. That's a fact. I've been to some of the poorest places in America, Mississippi, for example, which I think is regarded as the poorest state. It is a palace compared to some of the places that I've been to around the world. Now, I'm not dismissing that, but just get real. Get on a plane, travel around the world, just see how some of these other countries that you think are doing so marvelously are doing. They're not. And I thought, well, let me do some research. Let me find out if that's true. And it is true. So if you compare the US to like Europe, for example, let's not even talk about third world countries. Let's compare America to Europe, another industrialized era. In fact, the whole Eurozone. All right. So, for example, let's go like in the noughties, the mid 2000s.
Sure.
The GDP between the Eurozone and the US was comparable. It was comparable. It was similar. I think the US was slightly ahead, but it was similar. The GDP was similar. Right now, the US is more than double. So I'm asking you, who got ripped off? Where's this pain? Supposedly America's got this pain. There is no pain. People, now I'm not saying, again, not the people who are suffering. There's people suffering in every country. But according to what I've discovered, and you can back me up on this, the average American is far better off than they were 20, 30 years ago than, say, for example, England, France, Japan, any of these countries, doing much better, much better. So I'm just wondering, why is he telling everybody in America they've been ripped off, they're in so much pain? I'm not saying this that they're on tough things, but the rest of the world is in far worse shape. They are not ripping America off. This is just, it's just garbage. It's economic garbage. And just one more thing I want to say. All these, I watched the thing where this guy said, "Oh, manufacturing. He wants some. What's his name? Talnick. What's his name? Ludnick. What? Lutnick.
Oh, the secretary of whatever, the idiot.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I look at him and I go, "How did you get your job?" Because I heard him say, and I did economics as a major. So what?
Right.
Ooh, whippy twang, big boner for me. But
I think I know the soundbite you're going to talk about. Go ahead. That's
no, I've seen several. I've seen him in several. Yeah. Where he talks about all these jobs coming back to America. Yeah. Going, who the fuck is going to do those jobs? And by the way, that idea that all the manufacturing is going to come back, that's only going to work if you take what Americans earn now and divide it by 10, at least. There's no ways America can pay their workers what the Chinese pay their workers. It's just not going to happen. It won't happen. Period. Well, that is why, rightly or wrongly, American entrepreneurs and business people said, you know what, we're going to make our stuff in China. The Chinese didn't put a gun to Americans and say, bring your jobs to China.
Right.
Americans took their companies like Apple and whatever and went and found the best place, the cheapest, the most effective way to manufacture, so it makes them competitive. And that's fine. That's the law. But there are other things that America do, high-end stuff that they add value to, which is where America's lane is. And as I've said, the GDP has done fine. It's like you're saying America's now going to compete with China in terms of manufacturing. Why? For what purpose?
Right.
Why? Stephen, why would you do that?
You can't. You can't compete.
It's got its own lane, and it's done really well.
Right. Well,
and who are these Americans that are going to do all these jobs, by the way?
Nope.
Who's going to do that?
Nobody. There's an article today in Bloomberg that actually talked about all of this, which was fascinating because, like I said, first of all, we have a labor shortage. We'd have to teach people how to do it. We also have a robot shortage because we don't have robots that make phones. Also, there's a child labor law, so I can't have an 8-year-old work in a sweatshop anymore. Now, if we get rid of that, oh, happy days. Anyway, so until we get rid of that, we're just screwed as a country. Because those kids don't need to go to school because they don't learn anything anyway. You might as well make an iPhone for Apple.
Right. Exactly.
The problem is that Donnie has got the thinking of the 1920s and 30s. And someone forgot to tell him that we're in the year 2025. So if he was the president back before the Depression, this is all wonderful. The problem is today is he's reaching out to middle America, and that, whether some were farmers, some were auto workers, some were this. So they see their livelihoods deteriorate. So he's like, America, great. We're going to do this. And most of them hear that and they don't think, okay, I heard A. They don't go A to Z. And what they don't think is bringing back manufacturing. Yes, if I'm Ford Motor Company or I'm BYD, I'll build a plant. And you know what I'm going to put in the plant? I'm going to put a bunch of robots because it doesn't cost me anything. Instead of hiring 10,000 humans, I'm going to hire maybe a couple hundred to monitor the robots. And that's it. So when they talk about they're going to bring it back and make it, you can't, because to your point, Americans aren't going to work for $2 an hour.
Yeah, but
one.
Steven,
and number two,
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'm just, what fascinates me is I don't see America as this wounded animal.
We're not.
Donnie does.
Well, we are now.
I'm looking at
we are now.
America's great. It's fantastic. The tech sector is unbelievable. I looked at that tariff chart now, and I nearly.
That's bullshit.
I thought this is hysterical, because if you all right, you have to have a little bit of understanding, which hopefully, if you're going to join the conversation, you have.
By the way, that chart's wrong.
No, but hang on. Let me just say, I looked at the chart and something was off for me. I know everybody knows this, but I looked at it and I thought, that chart is true if you discount 75% of the US economy or what it does. If you literally go along and you talk just about like steel and manufacturing, fine. But that's not what America does. It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's a more advanced economy. It's
But
got
the chart is wrong.
innovation and tech, and this is where people are. You got venture capitalists, whatever. You have people on a higher. I mean, I'm patronizing her, but America's operating on a much higher level than digging ditches and fucking
Right.
putting screws in boxes. That's not what America does. It hasn't done it for decades, and that's why over the last 30 years it's surged ahead of everybody. Look at the data. It is a fact. It is. This shit would make America great again. It's already great. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like he keeps saying. Now, the frustrating thing for me is I know why he's doing it. I understand why he's doing it. He's talked about the shit for whatever. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. He's never changed. Someone said he's been talking about tariffs for the last 50 years. Great.
Right.
Okay. It's like that uncle who talks about that woman that he actually wanted to marry instead of his aunt 60 years ago. God, get new material. Jesus, move on. But he's stuck on that. That's him. He's nearly 80 years old. Fine. He's an old grumpy man. And dare I say it, and I said to my wife, if I let the old man out, you kick my ass. If I start going, the golden gilded age, bullshit. Okay, don't do that. Look forward, you old fuck. Yeah. Right. Okay. So it's not him. He's not. I look at him and I go, that's to be expected. I had a father who was a bit like that. My grandfather was a bit like that. So
I disagree.
No, hang on. Let me just finish. So I know what he is. I see he hasn't changed. He isn't going to change. He is what he is. He loves himself. He's having military parades for his 79th birthday, I believe.
I heard.
Bloody. He wins his own golf tournaments. Okay, whatever. Fine. But it's all the morons that if he says shit, you go, come on. It's the old fuck. Go and do some homework. Talk to an economist. Talk to a venture capitalist. Talk to some people talk to a guy who imports, and he'll tell you he pays the tariff and he passes on to you for just basic shit. And the what was that shit he goes on about the dairy? I live on this side of the world, and I went and I did some homework of my own, and I know fucking here that not a single milliliter fucking fluid ounce or whatever of dairy that the US has exported to Canada has ever been tariffed. It's never met a threshold. It's never, it literally has never been tariffed. Yet he goes on and he says, well, from the festival of cod and milk, they're tariffing us. It's awful and 250%. Yes, if you flood the Canadian market, because no one sets a tariff without a threshold. Economics 101.
Right.
For fuck's sakes.
America
does. Stephen, the thing is, it's I mean, he could go up and say, that clowns' noses are actually blue. And they'd go, right. Fuck's sakes, think for yourself. Find out. This literally isn't rocket science. And that's what frustrates me. If you just find out, you will discover, I'm not having a go and he is who he is. Whatever. Don't worry about him. Worry about yourself.
Right.
Are you going to listen to this guy? Do some homework. Don't just believe it. I don't even believe smart people. I talk to 10 smart people and I go, right, what do we all agree on? Okay. So if there were another 10 Trumps, another 10 of them, and they all had the same thing, I'd go, all right, fair enough. And I'm not talking about the stooges that are 10 feet up his ass. I'm not talking about those ones. I'm talking about other people of a similar standing, and they all agree. And you go, all right, okay. Where did you study? What did you study? How did you study? What have you done? What have you built? Okay, so you must know what you're talking about. And there's 10 of you, so I think, all right. I mean, look at him. Why would you believe him?
Well,
that's
the
what
best part. The best part about this is if you read his book, The Art of the Deal, and
which you didn't write, by the way.
I know that. But if you read chapter 9, he talks about how you build a casino. So his Atlantic City casino did really well when it went bankrupt and they imploded it. Well, and that's what he's doing to the US. The problem with Americans right now, most Americans, and being an American, I can say this, are stupid. And they stick their head in their sand. And
it
is true. Stop. No, full stop. They are stupid morons now. They are on their TikTok and they're on their Instagram and they listen to the fucking 30-second bullshit and they don't think, they don't read. You cannot
It's
have an
disheartening.
intellectual dialogue with 90% of the
That's
population here
disappointing.
because they're too stupid. You find there's only a handful of people that I run into where I'm out having cigars or business meetings that we can talk about something like at a business meeting other than the business at hand, and we start talking about economics or global geopolitics. I'm like, where did you get that? And they're like, well, I saw it on TikTok or Instagram. I'm like, you're a 50-year-old man or woman. What the fuck? So no, people are stupid. Full stop. So when the orange man comes out and he's like, he's a celebrity, right? Television, everybody's been in all, everyone's like, oh, he knows. Nobody checks him because he's the president. And it used to be the president would tell you the truth. So there is a part of America that's like, if the president says it, it's true. The problem is the president says it and it's bullshit. There are tariffs, to your point on Canada, the stuff that's going on with China, the stuff that's going on with the Ukraine when he said the Ukraine invaded Russia, and all this stuff. Now he wants to do, it's just such rhetoric. And the American public doesn't take the time to go read a newspaper, to go somewhere and listen to, other than Fox News, to get on Bloomberg, let's say, and listen to guys and girls. Bloomberg show does A and B. They give you both points. So you can like make a decision. And their articles are the same way. But people don't do that. People, they think they're so important. I was out the other night having dinner, and these people were always on their phone and blah, blah. And I was laughing, and the people I was like, what's so funny? I go, they're not curing cancer. They're like showing each other Instagram video. And I'm like, really? It's like when I'm done for the day, my phone is in my office on the charger. I don't give a shit. When I'm done, like yesterday, I came home from meetings. I went outside with the dog, had a cigar. Where was the phone? In my office, could give a rat's ass. Day's done. Leave me alone. I don't live, and these people think they're so important, and they watch this crap and they don't read anything. Remember, our education system has been deteriorating since the 90s. So they're just stupid in general. And they're stupid even at Harvard, because apparently now we have to give them remedial math. Are you kidding me? This is the dumbest. We are the dumbest. These are the dumbest people on the planet. You can tell them anything. Yes, the clown's known as blue, blah, blah, blah. Trump is the perfect emperor with no clothes for the idiots that live here. I heard a guy, an ex-CIA agent, say on an interview that once America, which is what I brought up earlier, loses superpower status, it's time to get the fuck out of America. And you know what? I agree with him.
That's very sad because, I just, and I know I'm going to sound, I haven't met all 350 million Americans.
I have. I met all 350
have you met
million.
all of them? Okay, good. How's Bob in Florida? Is he doing all right? Bob in Florida? He's a good guy.
Bob's good, but sends his regards. Hello.
And I'm not even making that up. When we went up to Stowe in Vermont many years ago, there was a guy we met. His name was Bob in Florida. And hi, Bob, if you remember me at Stowe, Vermont, the guy with a weird accent that you couldn't place because I come from various countries. Yep, there I am.
Where in Brooklyn you from?
I didn't get hold of you. What?
Where in Brooklyn you from?
Exactly. But it's disheartening because I have to say I've lived a different experience. I've lived when I was there, I enjoyed my time there. I would, Stephen, the current situation aside, where I was in Connecticut and New York, and we traveled around Massachusetts, we went up to Maine a bit, New Hampshire, New Jersey, lovely. I mean, great. Delaware, we went down to Virginia. We went to, what's that town called? Roanoke? Is it Roanoke in Virginia? It was West Virginia?
Sure,
Virginia?
That's where the people came and the Indians ate them.
Yeah, it was originally a colony or a place, in the 13 colonies. But we went up there. There's a lovely hotel where they filmed Dirty Dancing. My point is, I would walk into grocery stores and food stores, and the people are lovely. They really are. The worst experience I ever had in 3 years was, and it wasn't even a bad one. I was in New York City, and I went to NBC, and I was trying to buy something, and there was a game night or something. It was like a board game, something like that, game night.
Sure.
I think it was, but they were selling it, and I was like, well, I'm in the city. I'll just pop into NBC and buy this thing. I think it was NBC. And Jane March, she was the host. That's all I remember. Anyway, so I went in, And the guy, I don't know whether he was just trying to be a dick or whatever, but at some point I said, "Do you guys have?" And I'm not making this up. I do make stuff
Right.
up. It's true. I said to him, "Oh, thank you. By the way, can I get some water?" And he looked at
Right.
me and he said, "I'm sorry, what?" I said, "Water,
Right.
water." And he went, "I don't know if we got any of that, sir." And I went, "All right, let me try this." And I said, "Do you have any water?" And he went, "Yeah, why didn't you say that?" So
Oh, by the
I
way,
just
Jane
went,
Lynch
"Oh, okay."
was the host of
And
Game
I
Night.
still don't know if he was just being a dick or if
Yeah.
he really didn't understand the difference between water and water, which was
No, he
really,
doesn't understand. They don't understand the difference.
but what I'm saying is that's it. In 3 years, that was the worst experience I had, which isn't
But
really.
yeah, but
So
you know,
what I'm saying is that when I got there in 2012, the
Sure.
Sandy Hook thing had just happened, right, in
Right, right.
Newtown.
Yeah.
And my kids, we were checking them in. We lived in a little town called Ridgefield,
Mhm.
which was one like the next county down.
Right.
And it was the weirdest thing because I was getting my daughter all set for high school, blah, blah, blah. The counselor was there, and suddenly the place just went tense. And there were people
Yeah.
running around. I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on? Is there a fire alarm? What's happening?" And they said, "Sir, you're going to have to go home now. We've got a situation." I went, "Oh, okay, cool." And that was the day that moron went and shot all those kids in that school.
Right,
Now,
right.
that's how we arrived at the US. That was how we arrived.
Welcome.
And the next day I was in a Sears or one of those stores, and I don't know, people were they were reaching out. They were scared, they
Yeah.
were worried. It was
Yeah.
a big deal. And the guy said to me, he says, "Oh man, you're not from here. What would you do?" And I said, "Nothing. I wouldn't panic about it." I said, don't let
Mhm.
this traumatic situation own you, dominate you."
Right.
He goes, "Yeah, great idea. Oh yeah. Anyway, young man, welcome to America, blah, blah, blah." And that was it.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of people that I guess comforted, because some people knew I'd just come in from South Africa, even though I was
All right.
originally from the UK, and they'd heard all sorts of stories about South Africa. So I spent the first year of my time there putting all those stories to rest. I said,
Right, right.
that isn't the problem. There are other problems. Do you want to hear about
Yeah,
them?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
you don't. Let's have some coffee. So, but it was great. And
Yeah.
once people got past the accent, and of course, as I said to you, I reached a point where I got tired of explaining my accent. So, Stephen, I just kind of like, I reverted and I became, I just because, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
it's
a
easy.
voice actor. I
Yeah.
can change. And I would, "Hello, good morning, how are you?"
Yep.
And I would do that. No one would blink an eye. I'm like, "Oh, whatever." And it was cool. It was
Yeah.
fine. And then I would become myself again. They go, "Oh my God, that's really good. Is this like a British thing?" And I
Oh
went,
my
"No,
God.
I was just I was putting that one on."
Right, right.
"Okay, if you say so."
Right,
And I suddenly became the blonde in a pub from
right.
just being no one, just because
I
of an
always think
accent.
of you
But
as a blonde in a pub, just so
do
you.
you? Thank you,
Yeah.
Stephen.
There you go.
I try. I try.
There you go.
I've got
Okay,
big cigars, by the way. I've got
there
a
you
big
go.
cigar. I
I
do.
bet
I've
you
got a
do.
very big cigar. But listen, before we go,
Yeah.
what I wanted to say was the people were great. I never, there's some, people ask me some, I'm not going to call them stupid questions, curious questions. I
There you go.
generally found the people very, certainly in the Northeast.
Well,
I
they
can't
have
speak to.
most of them have brains. Yeah, but
They
not
were
everybody's
they were
stupid.
very curious. No, they were
Yeah,
very
yeah.
curious.
There you go.
Some were concerned. Others just wanted me to get out of their way. Whatever.
You
It
are.
is what it is. And then I
Right.
became. They say after about a year of living in New York and using the transit system and all that,
Yeah.
you start to take on that mentality. And I
Yeah.
swear to God, I was coming down, I don't know, Broadway or 32nd and Broadway or something,
Yeah.
and there was a guy in the way, and I could see he was a tourist, and he was looking at shit, and I'm like, "Oh, stupid tourist." And I went, "Oh, that's a New
Yeah.
York thing. Oh, what has happened?" And
Yeah.
I thought, "Oh, don't do that." And I stopped him and I said, "Can I help you, sir?" And he goes, "Oh, yes, I'm looking for." And I went, "First right, boom, thank you." And as he was saying thank you, I'd already left. I went, "Oh my God, I've become a New Yorker. It's crazy."
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, no, it was an easy integration for me. I loved the way pretty much 99% of the people thought. I remember going into a coffee shop, and the guy he described some of the regions in South Africa where I might have been, and I went, "Good Lord,
All
that's
right.
impressive." Because he said, "I can hear your." He said, "Are you a Brit?" And I said, "I'd rather call myself English. Brit
Right.
is this new bullshit word that people have come up with. No one now, the last 20 years it's come up, but you didn't hear English folk calling themselves Brits, which is
Right.
short for a Briton. I'm a Briton. Nobody
Right.
did that. But now, a Brit. It sounds like you're spitting something out of your mouth. It's just a stupid word.
A lot of them
But anyway,
do, by the way.
so he said, so I said, okay. So he said, you're English. And I said, yeah, I was born in London. He said, oh,
Right.
good. But he said, have you spent time in, is it Durban in South Africa? And I went, yeah, I grew up partially. And then he went, oh yeah, I love Durban. I went, really? And he told me, oh, and that was in New York. That was extraordinary. And
It's New York.
This massive man of color, he must have been about 6'100", but he was just nice. And he became someone that I used to get my coffee from, and we chatted about stuff, and it became what I'm saying is there were great people that I got to know and meet.
Because New Yorkers back in the day had a brain.
No, but
Yeah,
Stephen,
but that's
smart, knew about some of the. He was so geographically aware, and I thought, you see, and when I came back here to South Africa, I found myself defending Americans all the time because they said, "Oh, Americans don't know where Africa is," and I said, "Well, do you know where Wyoming is?" No, so shut up. Because why would they need to know?
Right.
Hey, what?
Americans don't know where Wyoming is either.
Oh my God.
So
okay, whatever. But I'm just saying. But I just found them. They said, now to your point about the education. Now, all I can say is my kids, the town of Ridgefield we were in was marvelous. The education was phenomenal. Now, I can't say it's better or worse anywhere else. So the thing that disheartens me is I had a great experience. I saw smart people. That was my experience of the US. No, it was not like yours. It's not complete. I haven't been coast to coast, but I, by and large, had a great time. The people were, they were really switched on. A lot of them had traveled. A lot of them were, they were people that I would call grounded in reality.
Right.
And when you say things to me like, and I've got a friend that I work with here, an American guy works here on the radio station with me. And he says the same thing you do. He says, "Oh, all Americans are stupid." And I go, "No, don't say that to me. Don't say that to me, because it's like I'm a guy and I just patronizingly, I just go, well, thank God we've got women, because if it was all guys, oh my God." So I was raised by a single mom, but I have this, I guess I put sort of women on a bit of a pedestal. It's part of the way I grew up. And I go, well, at least thank God there's some brains in the room. Not all women.
Right.
My wife, not his sister, but just watch this. But the thing is, you go, okay, well, at least there's an adult in the room. At least we've got America as a superpower, and the people are pretty switched on, so that's okay. But then when you say something to me like, yeah, they're all stupid, and Orange Man who clearly doesn't know anything about economics, and everybody's following him, I go, what the fuck is going on? I know what you're saying about America not being a superpower, but that is depressing to me, because this isn't about America. It's about the fucking Western world. It's about the globe. We need people in the US that are smart. We need that because it's a massive economy. It has a massive influence in the world. And when you have stupid people, and I say that politely, in positions of power, spouting bullshit, and then what you say to me, a whole bunch of stupid people all following them, I go, yes, but they're in the big truck, the one that causes shit around the world. We need the kids are playing with the weapons, right? That's the problem. They've got the nukes. They're in the White House. You can't, if you're in that position, if you're in the US, if you're a citizen, if you're a president of that country, you really need smart people. You need adult-like people, and you also need a president who doesn't respond to every criticism with an insult of his own. Grow the fuck up. People are allowed, especially in the US, which I thought was about free speech. They're allowed to criticize you. What you do is you go, okay, Stephen, that's your opinion. This is what we're doing. You don't turn around and say, Stephen is the worst guy ever, and he's a loser, and he's a failed this. Fuck's sakes, grow up. And then when you've got a guy like that running things, okay, and then you have people following that childishness, that infantile bullshit, it's depressing for me, because I still believe, in spite of what you say, and in spite of what my friend just says, my experience was good. And I hope that a lot of people in the US are smart. They know what's going on. And I don't know, Stephen. If there's no hope for that, then we're fucked. That's all.
I think let's just see over the next 30 days what happens. But right now,
Please, dear God, if there is one.
people that are in like agencies that don't exist are all saying, if the United States is no longer a superpower, there's no reason to live here. Get the fuck out. And I agree with that. The other thing is not all Americans are stupid. I'm going to say,
No, I don't
say
think so.
no,
really don't think so.
75%. 75% morons. There's 25% that have brains. All right, I'm being generous. 80% morons.
depressing.
All right, maybe 85.
God, I hope
Maybe
you're wrong,
90.
Stephen.
Anyway, no, I don't think so. Anyway, here's the other thing. Your love affair with America is like a friend of mine who finally got his Pagani sports car. He's loving.
Mhm.
He's like, oh my God, he has fantasized about it. They finally got his one of whatever 50 or something, and he is like having an orgasm. And I was like, okay. Now I said to him, come talk to me in a couple of months after you've had it, and things don't work on it. They're a great car. It's just one-offs are very hard.
What's it
And
called?
so it's a Pagani. I'll send you a picture of one. It's a $3 million toy, basically. It's a car. It goes boom, boom.
I know Bugatti. It's not a
No,
Bugatti.
Bugatti is a different car. Pagani is a different car.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so he has this, and he's had like this fantasy, like America's wonderful, and oh my God, he drove one once, and it was like, oh, yeah, I have to have. So he got his order, finally got it. He drove it, and he's like, and I said to him, I said, dude, it's like a piece of shit. It's just a $3 million crappy thing. Things are going to, I mean, if you want something like that, at least buy something that you can use as a daily driver. That Conan Sack, Bugatti, they're not daily drivers. So, so it finally starts doing stuff. It's like, what a piece of da-da-da-da. I said, I told you. So it's kind of like your love affair with America. And the reason I use that analogy is it's like you saw it, you liked it, you drove it once, and now you're like, oh, I remember, like I remember I drove it. Yeah,
I was there 3 years.
Right.
I drove it a lot.
Right. He did too. He drove one through Europe. I think he spent 2 weeks in it. That's equivalent to your 3 years.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And then when he finally came back, if you will, or got it, and he was in it day in and day out for 6 months, if you came back, he's like, oh, I see. So what would happen is then you would come back and you may go back to the same city, and you're going to see that it's a bit different. And then you're going to be like, I get it now. That's unfortunately what the issue is. And you're going to find out, and I'm assuming it's this way, except in China, where TikTok teaches you how to be a doctor, lawyer, or how to take over America. People are just
teaches you about tariffs.
It's here, right? But here's what's really funny. They just this morning kicking out 500 university students for self-deportation because of whatever they said, something that they didn't like about the United States or whatever it might be. Universities now are suing. So you're saying we need smart people. We're kicking out all the smart people. So that's going to be a problem.
I must say that, look, I don't know the whole story of those students, but I did hear some of the stuff that they took a position. They took a position. They said stuff. As far as I know, they didn't use any weapons or incite violence, but they said stuff. And
we have that thing called the First Amendment.
Yeah, and I just thought to myself, the problem is either you are 100% free speech or you are zero. You can't be 99% free speech, because that isn't free speech. If there is any kind of manipulation or control over what you say, that's not free speech. Even if I say 100 things and one of them you don't like and you stick me in jail for their point number 43, the whole thing is null and void. And I'm not going to get into the people. I saw some of the things they said. I saw some of the comments they made. Me personally, I'm not the US government. I didn't like what they said.
I agree.
I thought to myself, fuck, can't you just enjoy your time in America and study? Can't you just, why do you do more homework about what you're saying? It's you are, I think you are spreading misinformation, but this is my opinion. I'm not the government. That was the reaction I had to it. I didn't like what they said. I thought,
I agree.
Fuck's sakes, it's a great country. Why don't you just enjoy it? Go to fucking Applebee's or, I don't know, Papaya. What's it?
Really? Applebee's makes America great? Wow.
Yeah, and just go there and have a good time and just enjoy it. There's some good things. The countryside, there's some great country. Go for a hike. I don't know. Fuck, enjoy the place.
Yeah.
Drink up American football, get into it because you're there. So don't just embrace what it is and
Right.
don't tear down what it's not. What it's not.
Right.
It's not about that. All right.
Right.
But that's my opinion. That's my
I
opinion.
agree with you. I'm
However,
100% with you on that.
the authority in that country, though, as you said, the First Amendment, the Constitution, pretty much protects someone from any kind of discrimination based upon what they said.
Correct.
And it's a little troubling. I mean,
Mhm.
you and I have said this. I would, at some point, true story, I would love to spend a couple of months in China. There's a lot of things I really admire about China. I'd like to go and live there for myself. I'll tell you what I'm not going to do when I get to China. Bring up religion or talk about their leaders. Why?
Yes.
What the fuck for? Right?
No.
Enjoy China, have fun, meet the people, fuck their language up a bit, because I would try. Meet some nice people, smart people, seriously, and get some smiles, tell a few jokes. They've got some of the most amazing countryside. That's why I'm there. I want to embrace the good side of China. I'm not going to get into their gang culture or their political thing or their history or what they worship or don't worship. It's none of my fucking business. And what is it going to do? So I just feel that the kids, the students, personally, if you go to America, it's doing fine without you. It's built up. It's great. Just come there, study, take what you can, and then fuck off or stay and build something. Why do you have to take a potentially myopic view or misinformed view? You don't need to. It's not important.
But I think
that said, you should. The Constitution says you should be allowed to do that, and that's a bit worrying. I don't know.
But I do agree with you. I don't like what they said. I don't
like what they say at all.
Right, but my problem is that so we start with these students, and then we've talked about this before. Then we're going to start with shows like ours. Bill Maher's show, John Oliver's show, Jon Stewart on the Daily. Are you going to start with that? Are you going to really just go after every? Because once you start in one place, then it just starts. It's a trickle down theory.
Well, you set precedents, don't you? You set precedents,
and that's the issue.
Well, you say, all right, we locked a guy up because he took, for example, a pro-Palestinian view, right? So it becomes then policy that if someone says anything pro-Palestinian, for example, they are either deported, locked up, visa revoked, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So if any of those hosts you mentioned not necessarily takes a pro-Palestinian view, but takes a slightly anti-Israeli view, because there's something they don't like about Netanyahu, then someone turns it around and says, no, you are anti-Israel, therefore you are pro-Palestine, jail. I mean, you have to do that because you've set the precedent. That's how law works. If you convict someone and you put them in jail, or you take legal action based on a judgment, that judgment then goes into law and becomes a precedent. And if you don't then convict the next guy, then you have to release the first guy, or you have to convict both of them. And any decent lawyer, I mean, I only did 1 year of law, but what I'm saying is it's easy to just shoot holes in that argument. So they are going to have all kinds of legal shit hitting them. But it's so unnecessary, Stephen. Why would you, if the kid said X, Y, and Z, just let him say it. Don't respond to it. And will it go away? Probably not. But you're the president. Haven't you got bigger things to worry about? I'm just saying. Haven't you got wars and trades and whatever, tariffs? And,
did you hear the latest?
What do you care? What's this kid going to do?
The latest, they want to clean up the Smithsonian and take out things that basically just aren't.
No, Jesus, no, come on.
That's great. We can talk about that next show. I saw that.
No,
and I was like,
and you know what's interesting is they took all those words out. Somebody showed me all the words. Gay, lesbian. They took woman, women. What the fuck? Female. Huh?
It's all about it's white male.
Homosexual. You know what, Stephen? The guy that moans the most about the guy that gets quite uncomfortable about it. Usually there's something a lot of the time. And I speak from not my experience. I could give two shits. You know, I'll wear makeup and put pink nails on it. It's not going to make me gay, I promise. You know, I've got to tell you, guy, if I was that way, you know, you still wouldn't be my type. No, but I'm just saying, the point is, it's not a disease. It doesn't, you know, words in a book. I'm not going to turn people gay. I promise you. I have a I have a daughter who is gay, and you know what? That's how she was made. You can disagree with it in your personal capacity, but it's none of your business. She's not going to destroy a country. In fact, with her now master's degree, she could probably be of great value. But I'm just saying that it's just weird that they're putting out, going after words like that. It's like you don't want people to find out something about you.
Book burning. It's book burning.
Why are you so worried about that word? Why do you care so much about that word? Have you not been asked out on a date? Is that
we're going back to the Puritan Christian right, blah, blah, blah. And unfortunately, America is not that. America is a melting pot of religions and people from all over the planet and the universe. And it is what it is.
Can I say something on the Christian thing? Because I'm going to put my nuts in a vice on this one. So that's how I was raised. We've already had this conversation. My father was Jewish. I was raised in a Protestant environment, and we can talk about this. I have my beliefs of something. I believe we come from something. I do believe the message has been hideously distorted, and as it stands right now, is pretty much null and void. But I do know something's up. Sentience is not an evolutionary thing. I think we started from somewhere. We evolved, but anyway, whatever. My point is, it's on the Christian front. It's interesting that you got a lot of. You mentioned the Christian thing where people are against gay people and blah 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 and all this. And I actually have a friend of mine who's a minister, and he's quite controversial. Not mentioning his name doesn't help because I'll go and burn down his church. And he said to me, "That's why we have the New Testament. That's why we have the New Testament, because we fucked that up a bit. We didn't get that quite right." And the idea is, it literally says it right there. You can think what you like, mate. And this is a religious point of view. This is from a minister. He says, you can think what you like, but you are literally not allowed. It is forbidden for you to judge anyone else.
That's none of your business. What it says.
Literally, it's fuck all. So what I'm saying is, he says see, that's what he said. He says, I'm not a theologian. I'm telling you what he said. That is actually a proper modern Christian point of view. You don't judge anybody. You take them as they are. Correct. If you don't like them, that's your problem. That's your business. If you think they're gay or weird or whatever, great. But you're literally forbidden from judging them or discriminating them in any way. You're literally not allowed to do it. Right. And if you do it, then you are not that you
not Christian.
Then you are not. You are not. He said the word he used was. He says the world has got. He says you've got 100%. So these are all the Christians. He said 5% of them are Christians. Right. 95% of them are hypocristians.
Yeah. Oh, and I agree with that. But see, there's over 600
and it's tough. He said the reason why people judge, the reason why people will criticize is it's so easy. Yeah. But when you judge someone, you have to look at yourself. I don't want to do that. Yeah. You don't look at yourself. You have to, and it's pretty much the world right now. We just throw it out. We throw it out. We throw it out. And the reason why Trump is so popular, and we've said this before, I strangely enough, after all the bullshit we speak about him, I don't know him well enough. I don't have a personal beef with him. He is who he is. He's never changed. He hasn't changed. I think
he saw Lakaja one too many times. He is what he is. Lakaja he is what he is. Never mind.
Yeah, he is what he is. Yeah. But the blind following but what I will say about him, what I wanted to say was what I will say, and strange enough, I respect this about him. Okay. Listen to this. I respect his ability to get so many people talking. It's incredible. Yeah. It's absolutely astonishing how much of a tsunami of bullshit he has created in America. It's phenomenal. I have never seen people so worked up, so concerned, so happy, so sad, all at the same time. It's truly remarkable. And it's going to sound like I admire him. And on that score, I do. When have you ever had a president that's caused literally so much shit? Now, you can say, well, it's shit. Okay. But he is a big
but he's not
media
the one.
force.
It's Steve Bannon.
It's impressive.
No, I know he is. Steve Bannon is the one who told him to do this. Steve Bannon, during his first term, was like, "Listen, you have to put out 3 things a day because out of the 3, one of them will be good, the other 2 will be BS, and that'll put out the fire from the previous day." So that's what they do. If you watch every day, they put out 3 things. That's
Okay,
Steve
they
Bannon's
do.
playbook.
They
Yeah.
do.
So they make sure that, like the guy who
I,
was deported to El Salvador that shouldn't have been, they can't get him
shit.
back.
Oh
And
my God.
nobody cares. It's like that's 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah, we've moved on to
that's
something
how
else now.
that's the news
Tariffs.
cycle, right? They're trying to
How are we on
keep the news
tariffs
cycle.
now?
That well on tariffs, that's an everyday thing, and they try to
For
get away
now.
from that. The AP
But you can
reporter,
see, Stephen,
Yeah.
have you noticed with the El Salvador thing and the tariff
Yeah.
thing, no one's talking about the signal thing.
well, they
It's gone.
still are. We actually had a whole show on it last
Oh,
Friday at Lost
okay.
Dollar
But
Business
not
Club. A lot of
generally.
people are.
It's
So-
not in the top 10 of the news side because there's so much going on. But
Right.
think about it. Now, honestly, Stephen, right? What's the big news right now? Tariffs.
Well,
China,
tariffs, because
trade.
the reason tariffs are a big news right now is because the stock market globally has lost $9 trillion.
Yeah.
That's real money.
Yeah, but Stephen, they're not talking about the signal thing. I know you would, and you did a show, but I'm saying if
Well,
I
we
bet you
actually,
now, if
people,
if I
no,
opened
people
up,
are.
no, no, I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about media. If
Oh.
I opened up any one of my news apps right now, I
Yeah,
bet you there's nothing about the signal thing in here. Guaranteed.
I
Single
would
channel,
agree with you.
CNN,
Yeah.
Fox, Sky, you name it, MSNBC. I bet you if I open them up right now, there'd be nothing about that. So you're right. They're just pushing stuff out, and it literally pushes the sludge out the door. Somebody said to me that he has signed more executive orders up to April than any president has in a year.
And I think in their term, he literally does
it's
like
100
5 a day.
It's about 120. And
Yeah.
no one's ever, well, they said a year. I don't know about a term. They said a year. No president has ever signed that many orders in a year. And we're only in what, April 9th.
April 9th. Hey,
Yeah.
by the time he's done being president this week, he'll have a 10,000 done.
But what I'm saying, Stephen, is it's impressive. I'm just giving some
Okay.
some objectivity to this whole critique of the man. I don't want people to think. I mean, I don't have any personal feelings about him.
Right.
I don't. So it's not about hate or love or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
agree.
about sense and
Yeah.
what is right. And I
Right.
expect him to say what he does. What's disappointing for me is that, if I went on a news channel and I said, you know what, clowns are actually born. They're literally born with red noses. And it's becoming a problem. And they're making them in China. They've got this virus that makes these, and people, they've got these fucking huge feet, and they come out with all this orange hair,
Mhm.
and it's a real problem. And we need to make sure they don't come in our country. And people go, yeah, the clown thing, the clown virus. I'm
Right.
making the shit up. It's something I read in a comic book when I was 5.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I'm saying he is taking a problem. Well, what's it? Making a mountain out of a molehill. You've heard that.
Molehill, right.
So you've got a little bit of a globalization problem, a few people being left behind, and he goes, boom, we exploded into 250% tariffs the Canadians are charging us, which is nonsense.
Right.
It's not true. But it isn't nonsense because that is true, but it's misleading. Because I think last time I heard, I think the 20%, 25% of the quota had been reached. Not even close to that.
The economist on Bloomberg gave the perfect example for the dairy farmers and poultry and all the farmers in America that ship to Canada. He goes, think that you can send 10 buckets of whatever your product is to Canada. The 11th bucket gets its tariff. He says the most we've ever sent is 5 buckets. He says, so we've never been tariffed. So at Canada, we've never been tariffed.
Not even close to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing's been tariffed. Nothing.
Now, regarding the clown virus, we're going to make that a short. So the clown virus now is going to go. That's a real thing, everybody. The clown virus in China. No, not China, because China, everyone's picking on China. Let's pick on another in South Africa, because you guys need something. We got to pick on something. They don't know where you are. In South Africa,
there's a secret lab.
They have a secret lab where they make a clown virus where people come out with noses and big feet. I'm not sure. We should be bombing South Africa. That's what we should be doing. We should send a mission to get rid of the clown factory. And then the island with the penguins. It's only an island that just has penguins. That's got a tariff. And someone made a short of these penguins landing and going to DC to argue the tariffs. So I'm like, let me get this straight. I forget the name of the island, but you're charging this island that exports nothing, and they're on the tariff list for like 200 or 300%.
South
And the only thing that's
somewhere,
on this island is penguins.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I don't think the penguins really care.
It's in the
I thought that was-
Antarctic. It's in the Antarctic region. It's the McDonald Islands or something. But and there's a few. But okay, so we're going to wrap it up. I'll finish this off with a joke and say I did this on my show and I said, yeah, they're all worried about the tariffs, and people saying it's uninhabited. It is inhabited by penguins, but I'm struggling to understand why he's so worried about the penguins. They're not even a flight risk. Sorry.
But I'm bummed. He's here till Thursday, folks. We'll see you live next. Are you here next Wednesday or Thursday for the fans?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do Wednesday. It's cool. Yeah,
all right, next Wednesday we're live, everybody. The rebroadcast is on Friday morning. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and we'll see you all next week. Cheers, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for listening to this Roald Woods, Rob Vega, whatever the hell he wants to call himself, fellow. You know, this podcast thing, it makes him feel very important, and he's a difficult fellow as it is to deal with. So thank you so much for putting up with him, and do take care.